Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of The Champagne Queen by Petra Durst-Benning, translated by Edwin Miles, performed by Teri Linden. Chapter 1. The Palatinate, Germany, January 1898.
You were raised to marry, not to peel potatoes.
Isabelle nearly jumped out of her skin when she suddenly heard her mother's voice, and then her chirping laugh, the same laugh with which Jeanette Herrenhaus had always dismissed Isabelle's protests. Isabelle put down the knife she had been holding. Was she going insane? If she were, it would really come as no surprise. She looked around the kitchen, noting its low, soot-blackened ceiling and small windows. Like the rest of the house, the kitchen was cramped, and more Isabelle felt like a bird trapped in a too-small cage with too little air to breathe. A strand of her curly red hair had worked loose from her braid, and she tucked it behind her ear. Then she went back to peeling potatoes. It would be a terrible thing if her mother were to appear there. The woman would have a nervous breakdown on the spot, and Isabelle wouldn't really be able to blame her. There was a small Palatinate village close to the French border, deep in a basin-shaped valley. Little light made it through the tiny windows of the half-timbered house. To the west were dark, towering forests that were actually across the border in France, while to the east were a few vineyards that grew Sylvaner and Pinot Gris grapes. In between lay the village of Crimsite. Just thinking of the name of the village made Isabelle shudder. Grim times. No name could be more apt. The village consisted of a few dozen stout, traditional houses, a church, and a village school. There were no shops, so to buy anything at all one had to travel to the next town. And even there it felt as if everything had been buried alive, which is just how she felt in that house. Not that she had anyone but herself to blame. Around Crimsite, a handful of gloomy castles lurked on the mountainsides. They were built by long-forgotten nobles in earlier times. Leon had announced his desire to visit them with her in the coming spring. He had gone on at length about the history of the region, as if he had worked on the formidable structures himself, and he had talked about the Celts, the Romans, and the Germanic tribes. Although Isabelle had said nothing in response,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?